Welcome to Achila Yono School of Yona series on YouTube. Be sure to check out my book, Discovering Genealogy, my Patreon account, and also check out my podcast. Now, since the introduction is over, let's get it cracking. Hello, everyone. Sorry, y'all had to run to get some water, okay? Because I know when I be doing these lives, I get mighty thirsty, okay? Ooh, I'm gonna run out of breath trying to run to get some water. Let me plug in my mic right quick. Oh my God. Ooh, it's hot. I'm gonna take off this shirt. I shouldn't have said. Hello, everyone. Hello to the chat. I love to see y'all come to the chat before I even go live. Like, that's beautiful. Thank y'all for showing up and showing out. I appreciate all the love and support y'all guys giving me. Like, really, like, sometimes I just be feeling like, oh my God, like, why even go on? But when I see the love and support pouring in, it just makes me feel like, okay, this is right. This is what I need to do, And I know over the years, your girl, at times I be mean, I don't mean to be mean, I really had to work on myself. So I'm not so hard on people. So, but yeah, I would say definitely working on myself, holding myself accountable, and just working through, my issues have really helped me come this far. And if you have been following my channel for a while, you have seen your girl, okay? You've seen the days where I would be so rude. I would just be going off on people. Honey, the natives could not keep up with your girl, okay? The mestizos hated me. I was so mean to them. Yo, when they come up talking to me, calling me the N-word and stuff, and I found out something about their family members, oh, honey, best believe I'm talking about them relatives, them cousins, them daughters, everything. I don't do that anymore, but, had to throw it down a couple of notches because I was like, I'm not going to let y'all get me out of character. Y'all want me to stoop down to your level? And sometimes I don't mind stepping down to the level because sometimes, I got some time on my hands and I'm bored. Because the thing is, people be like, oh, well, you're so pressed, you're so angry when I respond to them. But really, I be laughing. I be laughing, Gideon, because I'm like, yo, like, this is too fun. Like, going off on people be fun sometimes. They be thinking you mad, but sometimes, honey, the roasting session be needed. Because best believe I'm giddy and I'm laughing, especially when I know I'm cutting you deep too. And I'm talking about your dead relatives and your ugly children. Oh, yes, hunty. Oh, yes, I'm giddy and I'm laughing, okay? But I'm like, no, don't be like that. We can't be like that no more. But I'm telling y'all, like, people don't know about the old Luvella. They don't know when I used to be called Luvella. There was a reason why the natives used to call me Cruella, okay? They'd be like, that bitch is evil. And they still would say I'm evil. They'd be like, she's so evil. I'm like, yeah, if you know I'm evil, why you steady messing with me then? Hey, Tyron. Hey. You want to hop on the live? Let me know, and I drop a link. But yeah, yo, I had to calm down a lot though, because folks would just try to get underneath your skin. And yeah, but the thing, yeah, that is true. Like sometimes we do got to get out of pocket to show people we're not playing. And especially like with me, like people think that I'm still in high school when they look at me. Like people think that I'm just a child, and I'm under 5 foot. I'm not. I'm no. Well, I won't say I'm nowhere close to 5 foot, but I'm not 5 foot. You know, I'm short in stature. So people look at me to be like, oh well, I could bully her, or she looks so young. Like I can do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, no, like that's just not what it's gonna be. Like you gonna get cussed out. And I think sometimes, I mean, and honestly too, I remember when I used to be in those Facebook groups with the natives arguing and debating with them. And I remember one time I just said, I'm not going to debate with y'all no more. I got my stories to watch. I'm gonna go watch my stories. See you later, okay? And then I seen like the natives have a whole conversation amongst each other, and they was like, I really do like Luvella. Like she really hold her own. And I'm like, oh, so I entertain you? So I entertain you? So you see me as entertainment because I can hold it down? I'm POP, hold it down. That's how you see me? I'm like, okay. Yeah, so then at that point I was like, you know what? My energy is currency, okay? And most likely these people are just saying things because they want to get a rise up out of me. And they like that I can hold my own. They like that, I have my information. And sometimes people just, I don't know, people just want to hear you talk. So,
Hey, what's good?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
It's
but
kind of
yeah,
an echo.
I don't know about my history. He know all about that. But anyway, so today I want to talk about this woman named Ches Charde. I think that's how you pronounce her name, but we're gonna call her Ches. I don't know why her name is called. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do because
Is
I
she
can
a
feel
Pan
myself trying
African?
to be petty. I'm like, no, hold on, we ain't trying to do that right now. Okay, don't be petty. I'm wait. I'm wait. I'm wait.
Is she one of them Peter Pan Africans?
Yes, child. Yes.
Yeah, those
we
folks
gonna
got to get
we
up
gonna
out the
have to look
pan.
at her Twitter because the thing is, I meant to go live on Sunday about her, but y'all, I was too tired. I was so exhausted, and I just didn't feel like going in on this heifer right here because I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I don't feel like addressing her because I did see her come across my timeline. I think Saturday night, and she was just child, you can see on the thumbnail where she was trying to say that natives have more, no, not natives. She said Mexicans have more Native American DNA than Black Americans do. So that right there then royally pissed me off because I'm like, first of all, Heifer, they mestizos. And a lot of these Mexicans are white people. They have white parents.
Is
And just
she?
because they got a little sprinkle of other ethnicities or races in them does not mean that they don't have large amounts of white ancestry. Like a lot of Mexicans have a lot of white ancestry and Asian ancestry as well. So to sit here and say that they are the original people of America is false because Asian people were not the first people of the Americas, contrary to popular
Exactly
belief.
that part. And what
So
that goofy woman is trying to imply is the out of Africa theory methodology, where they assume that America was exclusively a barren, straight mongoloid phenotype, when that's not how DNA works. DNA can only go so far to like a close living relative. It can't go to some racial ethnicity in antiquity,
yeah,
because with every person there, they have thousands of great grandparents, and you can't possibly tell what ethnicity is which from whom. What
exactly.
they're
We
what
have
they're
over
doing,
a
these
billion
DNA
ancestors.
tests where they try to connect Black Americans to a random African tribe, is nothing but a horoscope. It's a trick bag. It's
Not a
not even.
horoscope.
Yeah, it's a fucking horoscope. It's like you going to a gypsy.
Astrology, bro.
It's like
Astrology.
you going to like a crystal ball gypsy and them telling your fortune.
But the thing is, we have over 1 million ancestors, though. So to sit here and just be like, "Oh, I'm just this one, and I'm just this one," it's like, dude,
And
like
then
you
on
don't even
top of
know.
that, what's funny with these Pan Africans that regurgitate the DNA test, they don't even actually go to the place on a DNA kit that the results give them. They actually flee to East African countries and misappropriate East Africans instead of going directly to a West African tribe. They
Yeah.
usually make up a Bantu identity costume for themselves.
So let's check out this girl Twitter, because that's what I came across. So as y'all can see her Twitter. And as you can see already off the rip, she just on some random stuff like this one. If you are black and you are upset when someone says that our ancestors come from Africa, you are part of a cult. Like, girl, bye. And then she
If
has
that's a
this picture
cult, hold
where
up, wait
she
a minute. Hold up, wait a minute. If that's a cult, how come white people gave you Pan Africanism behind the scenes?
mm,
It's more of a cult of you following Marcus Garvey than you listening to your own relatives' oral history. Like Marcus Garvey was a knight of Columbus, and he really didn't actually go to Africa. He went to Europe
Europe.
and had a white wife before he met Amy. So
Yeah.
how is it that being claiming Indianness a cult, but not this whole Pan African ideology where you making up a Bantu costume for yourself and you're reaching towards Zulus to Kenyan culture to Egypt and Mansa Musa, everybody that ain't got nothing specifically to do with your direct relatives.
Right. Now she did do a video with this historian called Jai Issa. Child, I don't know how to pronounce that name either, but we're gonna go over that video too, because I have seen the video, and the thing is, while he's trying to debunk us, he actually validated us later in the video. So, but we're gonna get to that later in this video, though. So I want to read some more of these comments because this heifer. And the thing
They
is,
just can't let go of
after
them
hold on,
slave ship
Tyrone,
stories.
hold on. After we go through these tweets, then I'm going to show y'all where times where these DNA ancestry tests have been outed and been exposed for being fraudulent. So after we get done with these tweets, I'm gonna go on to my Google Drive and we're gonna start pulling out these receipts that rhymed. Okay, so let's move on. So, my God, child, she was just hold on. Okay, yeah, she then posted the Marcus Garvey retweeted him on her page. Let's see, because she was posting a lot of stuff on here the other day. Um, Look, it says she retweeted. It says Pan Africanism is so entwined in the history of the global African struggle that Tariq Nasheed can't even build a FBA history museum without including Pan Africanism.
Um, Pan Africanism was created by white supremacy itself,
Exactly.
and Marcus Garvey did not come up with that. It was way before that. It's like these black churches, preachers that were learning up amongst these white Protestant and Methodist churches that were trying to convince Indians to immigrate to Africa, such as Liberia and Sierra Leone.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some more of her tweets. She didn't sit here and retweeted a lot of stuff since I've been on here. I just can't keep up with this woman. She got too much on here. Okay, let's see. But yeah, I don't care for people like this. Like I don't now granted I don't want anything bad to happen to her, but I just hate it when people spread misinformation about our people and not like they know about history when they don't.
They regurgitate Henry Louis Snake's word for word, and that man does not stand for quote unquote Pan Africanism. He actually blamed slavery on Africans themselves.
Oh,
He's not
look
an
what
advocate for reparations. He tried to hide white celebrities' slave owning ancestry
look what she
from the
retweeted.
public.
Look what she retweeted. She retweeted this post and it said, "Grandma said we Indian." She retweeted this. So I guess she called herself trying to mock us.
Well, she can talk all that shit she won't, but them Africans over there saying we don't know who you are, Kata. Stop stealing my
Yeah, and
quota.
I just seen her capping for them, talking about how they don't call us Akatas. No. She said that
Yeah, they do.
oh, this is it right here. This is the tweet. Someone said Africa has more black billionaires. Honestly, we need to get our ish together here.
If
First,
Africa has
we're
more
lying
black
to ourselves
billionaires,
about
how come these niggas running the foreign
hold on.
countries?
Hold on, be about investing into infrastructure in Africa, where they make up special derogatories for us like Akata. And then so she says, based upon social media, you would think that Black immigrants use the word Akata as a noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, proposition, conjunction, and interjunction. I've been around plenty of Black immigrants and plenty of Nigerians and have never been called Akata. Yeah, because they know they're going to get their butt beat. Yorubas, the people whom this term originates, use it amongst themselves more so than towards non-Arubas. Goodbye. Why she lying?
You goofy bitch. They also use the word Obruni, and you have other Africans with their own individual racial slurs towards us, like Maniga or Kiniga, Jarers, um, what else? Wefchalash, Badia, a lot of shit like that.
Yeah. Let me see. She didn't retweet it a lot since I've been on here. I should have just screenshotted some of her tweets. Because it's just too much. Oh, here goes. This is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. So it says DNA ancestry tests are very accurate and go back 10 generations, about 250 to 300 years. If we were the original Native Americans, we would be able to prove it with DNA. Our ancestry tests always go back to African continent because that's where we are from. That's what she says.
Yeah, that's retarded. That's 100% retarded because, for one, you don't have a slave ship evidence. Two, you're going by an out of Africa theory methodology and not actual genealogical resources where it points you directly to a slave plantation, a slave ship, and a West African individual, and not that many Africans made it to the United States. Only like one out of all them slaves on the plantation was just one African, whereas the majority were Indian slaves.
Yeah. And then she goes on to say, we are beautiful people and we don't need to steal the history of Native Americans to find value in ourselves. It is obvious that we are genetically, culturally, and spiritually African. We don't have
Culturally,
to
there's
realize
nothing.
ourselves.
Hold on, wait a minute. What is she talking about? Culturally, there's nothing African about Black American culture. Um, like for example, Pan Africans love to claim the Gullah Geechee to be African when none of them practice anything West African in their culture. Like we sweetgrass baskets. Sweetgrass isn't indigenous to Africa. That's indigenous to America. A lot of indigenous American tribes utilize sweetgrass for uh, like hygiene purposes and fashion, or they also made sweetgrass baskets themselves. You also have jumping the broom. No one in Africa has a tradition called jumping the broom, and most of our individuals within our community make up fairy tales and wives' tales about how alleged West Africans would make care packages and braid seeds into their hair or smuggled seeds up their assholes. But what African tribe today, does that? Like if they if they are being captured or they're about to make a pilgrimage to Mecca or something like that, you would find a culture today still doing that. Or they'll claim stuff like the language, or they somehow smuggled in drums from Africa and brought it here. That don't make any sense. Or
Yeah,
ridiculous
yeah,
shit in that manner.
yeah.
But
So
you won't find anything like Fulani culture over here, or amalgamated Zambo communities with Mongoloid Native Americans speaking West African accents or worshiping African deities and shit like that. That's not feasible within that whole paradigm of that story.
right, and this is the tweet that I originally saw, and I quoted because I'm like, girl, like, what are you talking about? She talking about the average Mexican is more closely related to Native Americans than the average Black person is.
And what is an average black person? Like, these coons make up tall tales to fit their whole entire narrative of making up a Bantu costume for themselves to perpetuate a victim Olympics uh whole narrative. Like, they can't let go of the slave ship tale. For example, how are, like, they allegedly bringing in a whole bunch of Africans to be raped by a bunch of white people? How is that making our population today? That literally doesn't make any sense, because if you're being shipped over here in those terrible conditions of underneath a slave ship, a pregnant African woman would have a whole bunch of miscarriages, and they wouldn't be acclimated to the environment that they're being introduced in, because America has a whole bunch of mosquitoes, a different climate where it fluctuates from cold and sometimes warm and sometimes hot. And you're not going to know how to farm new environment once they transport a different people to another place. It goes the same for, like, American Indians on the East Coast that was swept out to the West and the Midwest, where they weren't able to farm the land because they didn't know the land. That wasn't their land that they was used to. So many of them starved. So you have to know, like, science behind the environment that for which you're used to and local to.
And then she made this post on April 17th saying, calling the true Native Americans who have ancient ties to this land $5 Indians is extremely disrespectful. Girl, bye. She can kiss a cactus ass for all I care.
And these Peter Pan Africans are Akatas and Abrunis to Africans. So,
Yeah.
and the word Akata and Abruni, that actually means you're white and you're a foreigner to them. You're a stray.
Oh, and then she goes on to say all Black people in America are foreign. Like, girl, what?
That's very pseudo. If she's claiming that she's foreign, then she should immigrate to an African country.
Exactly.
Like, that don't make any sense. Why are these Pan Africans still over here if they want to advocate for immigrating to a black ethno state in Africa and not actually doing it? You barking up the wrong tree, and as a matter of fact, you're compromising your own fucking genealogical land claims here. And I doubt this woman has actually done her own genealogical background within her own family surnames, because it probably might not even go back to Africa. It probably might lead to some Europeans, and Negroes from the Pan African sector don't talk about Black Europeans.
Now, see a lot of our people trying to school her, but then she goes on to say Black people in America are recently from the African continent. There is no legitimate linguistic or genetic evidence to prove that the majority of our ancestors
But
were Native
but
American.
this woman is stupid. There's no fucking slave ships. in existence within a museum. You have a whole bunch of Viking ships. You got the Roman Caligula. You got the Egyptian Khufu ship. All these 1,000-year-old ships, but not one slave ship survived 100 years ago into the recent decades. These Negroes literally are picking a fucking pile of wood and claiming it's the last slave ship. When it's a pile of rusty wood, rusty metal, and old decrepit wood that they found in a lake, not salt water, a freshwater lake.
I just, that's why I couldn't do this video on Sunday, because this heifer give me a headache. She gives
A
me
lot of
a
them
headache.
saying
Like,
people
I'm
give
just,
me a headache. Like she regurgitates the same talking points as a lot of these individuals, like psychopatheists or um, Brandon from Pan African Strikes Back and all these other goofy fools like Guy Nollywood that come over there to Alquan channel or harass Dane all the time and stuff like that.
well, I know one thing for sure. Like this, she really don't know what she's talking about, because the genetics is there, the archaeological evidence is there. They talk about Lucy. They talk about that caveman that they call African, right? He's been here for 10,000 years. And then they also said they found like what, 10 to 15 other skeletal remains that are just like Lucia and are also millions of years old. Like, she can get the hell on.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you don't know history. This is what happens when you constantly repeat what other people tell you and you don't do your own ancestry. I guarantee you, she don't even know what genealogy is. She probably don't even know what the word means.
They don't.
There should be no reason why people on here this slow.
They ain't gonna learn until the last minute. There's too
So
much money in Pan Africanism to let it go for these
yeah,
individuals.
I noticed that. I mean, unfortunately, they're just gonna be people that just ain't gonna let it go because that's what they used to, and that's what they want to indulge in.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to, be misled and just believe what has been taught to you over the years. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance going on. Like, a lot of people just can't let go of the bull crap that has been taught to them.
And the thing is, I thought Pan Africanism was supposed to be pro quote unquote black. Why are they so against American Indians that are Negroes?
Because they white supremacists with a tan. Because honestly and truthfully, Africans brought us into subjugation with their white
Yeah.
daddies and their white mamas.
If you believe that shit, yeah. So why are you on Africa's nuts, and why do you put the African before you if they sold you here into slavery?
Well, I'm not so much talking about that. I'm talking about how with these Moors and with these conquistadors,
I'm
because they
also
were
talking
right
about
side by
these
side
Pan-Africans that
with
worship the
these
African.
colonizers.
I'm also talking about these Pan Africans that worship the African. They claim that that's their great grandparents. Why would they sell them over here, like Madame Tenable?
Mm-hmm.
And she bragged about drowning slaves rather selling them at half price.
What?
Her own words. So
Mm.
I don't know why. I don't know why they put Africans on a pedestal like that.
They're the biggest sellouts in history. I'm just gonna put that plain and simple. Like the kinship that Aboriginals had with Africans prior to Columbus, it was there. Like, they talk about how they found a quote unquote African drinking gourd in a Cherokee mound. And although we know gourds come from us, but still it's like we knew about each other. And this is what you do. You sit there and you let your pale mamas and the daddies come over here and subjugate our people. Like, they have no right to sit here and talk about being a sellout, because they are the ones that sold us out. We sit there and brought cultivation and civilization to Africa, and this is how
They
they
should not be shadow telling on us because they Pan African bag is gone. It's dead. Like, oh, tell my Native American master that y'all been trying to steal his identity. You are African. Why you so hating on yourself?
like, child,
What if I told you? Why would I be hating myself when I'm repping what my parents told me? Not something that I learned in public school and television.
right. Right, because we initially learned that we are Aboriginal from our elders first and foremost. We didn't have to come online to
We
learn
didn't have to
about
go to a
what
white man's university to learn about American Indians.
yeah.
These Pan Africans had to go to a white man's university to learn about Africa.
Sure did. Sure did. And yet we already knew about the culture ourselves because we're born into the culture. And granted, we may not know everything, but we know enough.
It
We
took
have the names, we
it
have the
took
customs, we have the heritage, we have the DNA.
it took Jewish white men to give these Negroes some African knowledge. Jewish white men, two comic book illustrators that gave them Black Panther, which was their American Indian culture wrapped in an African Egypto-Nubian sugar coating. That you spending millions of dollars at Disney to make you a fake Black Pride movie plus a glorified music video remake with Beyonce appropriating all over Africa that's connected to a Lion King movie.
Oh my God.
Which you had a whole bunch of Africans come out and say stop stealing their culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you had Jewish academic scholars giving you an African curriculum, trying to African wash American Indian culture that American Negroes already had, and they themselves admitted in their own book that they couldn't scientifically do that. All it was just misappropriating culture, and that's from Melville Herskovitz. What's his book called? It escapes me right now. Myth of the Negro Past. Yeah, it says in chapter 1 that they scientifically could not connect Africa to Black Americans' culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they always trying to say jazz and blues come from Africa, but it don't come from Africa.
Yeah, you don't see none of that. You don't see Africans scatting in their music styles.
Yeah, now they're trying to copy us, and while they copying us, they trying to degrade us as well. I came across a music
and saying
video.
that we ain't got no culture in the same breath.
Yeah, I seen a music video of this African dude, I think calling us Akatas, but meanwhile copying our style, our stilo, our swag. I'm like, bro, get on. Go home. Go back to your country.
Yeah. And all they can talk about, oh, y'all got gangster culture, y'all negative, y'all ghetto. Well, some of those ghetto elements, like they're making fun of our unique names that's also American Indian in origin. Remember, we made posts about like names like Shaniqua, Talika, Tyrone. Some of these words have origins within American Indian language.
Right. Right.
Or they'll make fun of us wearing like jewelry, iced out jewelry, like gold and chains and stuff like that, and dreadlocks. You don't see Mongol Native Americans in the modern age wearing dreadlocks. Not even the ones that's isolated in the bush. These Mongol centrics pull out their anus. They don't resemble nothing like the bone and pack mural within Chiapas, Mexico, or some shit in Peru.
Right. Right. Well, I'm gonna pull up some content because I wanna show people, because this is what Pan-Africanists do, right? They sit here and make all these frivolous claims and sit here and say, oh, well, y'all just self-hating, y'all in the cult, y'all just hate yourself, blah blah blah. But yet when we start pulling up the facts and the truth, and we start pulling up the evidence, and we start pulling out the pictures and the paintings, then it's, oh well, this is falsified, and you just pulled this out
Or
your
they
ass,
say
like,
elbow shop.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Elbow
don't get me
shot.
wrong, you do
What
have
type of move is
individuals.
that?
But don't get me wrong, you do have individuals within the community that's making up shit instead
Yeah,
of
that is
sticking to
true.
the
That is
truth.
true. They're making it hard for us.
Like, like some of these Hebrew Israelite individuals or Moorish individuals that'll appropriate some African Americans and African hard research and flipping it by erasing people's watermark and hashtag off and putting their own hashtags on and putting MERS hashtag MERS on it
Oh
and
my God. And see,
directly
I'm doing
talking about
a
some
video tomorrow about
Mexicans
the
and
Moors too. I'm doing a video about tomorrow about the Moors too. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of the Moors.
yeah,
They
talking
make
about some
everything worse for us.
Amaruchi and can't even describe like they specific ethnic group. They the specific territory they people came from and their own genealogical lineage. They'll just say Amaruchi or a Mexum and not saying shit like specific like I'm Muskogee. I'm from Chicora, that's now known as the Carolinas or some shit, South
Right.
Carolina. They'll just say, "Oh, I'm just from Amarushi, and we are Aboriginals who are here for always here." No, you got to go in more in depth. You have
Yeah,
to say,
remember
"Well,
that guy the other Saturday that came on trying to talk crap? Talking about he's Shiamaru. He never did send me that book. He never did.
yeah, he a fucking Moor. That nigga is a liar. You know his ass was a Moor. Even the sources he gave you said Moorish shit.
It sure did. It
Like,
really
come on
did.
now. You always say, I'm not a Moor. Then why you use the Moorish lingo? Come on now.
Yeah, he knew he was being disingenuous.
And that's what give these Mongol centrics and these Pan Africans ammo. Because
Yeah,
niggas don't come correct.
yeah,
And that's what gets us laughed out of court or our claims fucking rebutted and shit like that and dismissed because you got goofy individuals within our own ranks that's doing that dumb shit.
yeah, yeah. That is true. They make it difficult for any and everybody that's basically trying to speak their piece about things.
Yeah,
So but first and foremost, I want to show a video that I have on my YouTube channel already, but I want to show people because what people fail to realize is that they always want to sit here and say, oh, take a DNA ancestry test, take a DNA ancestry test. But how is a DNA ancestry test going to be accurate when you have Africans saying they're not even originally from African? For example, this right here.
yeah, South of
This,
Peru.
yeah, this man named Omar, he talks about how his tribe came from India. They originally came from
Hindustan.
not Africa. So I'm gonna play the whole video and then we're gonna come back with further commentary.
back today to share with the world. And this knowledge is came from the Lebus community. And the Lebus, they have a big culture. And they have a big tradition. And also they have a religion. So it doesn't mean, for example, if you're talking about Lebu, you cannot only start in Senegal, because Lebu doesn't come from Senegal. Because his ancestors, they said Lebu is came from India. Because the Lebu, they used to live in India. And his ancestors, they said the Lebus, they live, they stay in India for 1,000 years.
Yeah, so they're not even originally from America. I mean, not America, Africa. And yet, this is what your DNA ancestry test saying that you come from.
A DNA test, with that whole methodology, it doesn't tell you where the origins of quote unquote Negroids came from. It only says Ethiopian ape, Australopithecus ape in Ethiopia. It don't say nothing about no Bantu people that these Negroes are claiming to be descendants of. They don't tell you the origins of Bantu or the Hamite, Black Caucasian, Ethiopians or Eritreans or Djiboutians, the Neolithic Africans, the Hottentot, Capoid, Khoisanids. They don't tell you no origin about that. And the funny part is when these DNA tests come up, they also try and say with the Australian Aborigines and Melanesians that they got European DNA too, when really they don't. It's just that Europeans are mutants of Australoids just like everybody else.
Yeah, but also too with these DNA ancestry tests, I'm gonna show y'all some videos. Now, some people be like, "Oh, well, they think that this guy, because the thing is, this guy he creates like all these hybrid animals, and some people say that they're fake. But the thing is, he just sit here and did 23andMe tests on these type of creatures that he making, and they're coming back and giving like real DNA ancestry results for them, like they're people, but yet they're creatures. So I'm gonna play some of these videos. So we gonna see.
After creating a two-headed turtle, I wanted to send its DNA into 23andMe to see what kind of results I would get back.
Oh crap, my bad. I was trying to zoom in. Okay, here we go.
After creating a two-headed turtle, I wanted to send its DNA into 23andMe to see what kind of results I would get back. And so after extracting its DNA, we sent it off in the mail. After about 3 months, results. Half of the turtle seemed to be from Europe, while the other half of the turtle was East Asian and Native American. It had a small percentage of sub-Saharan African. We thought this was very interesting considering it was a two-headed turtle. If you find this TikTok amazing, come check out my page where we send all sorts of animal DNA into 23andMe, as well as hybrid amazing animals.
This is the lunacy of the Pan-African and the Mongol-centrics regurgitating that DNA shit as the end-all be-all.
Child, they send off this animal DNA, and they talking about it's European and Native American. Well, here's another one. Here's a dolphin dog one here.
And these scientists that these niggas quote verbatim also tell you that you can't use that shit for no genealogical purpose. It's only for entertainment. It's not the end all be all. These niggas is straight up retarded.
Man, but let's play this one though.
I showed you how to make a dolphin-dog hybrid in my last video, but in this video, I sent their DNA into 23andMe to see what kind of results I would be getting back. After waiting about 3 months, I finally got the results in the mail. And after a long
Look at that
hot walk
man
to the
feet.
mailbox, here they are. My dolphin dog is 82% European, while also being 6.1% Central and South Asian, with about 5% Sub-Saharan African and also Native American.
What?
What about that dog Snoopy that they tested, and Kim Tallbear came back and said, "No, you can't do that. To find no native, you can't put native DNA into a spit tube and find a ethnicity or some shit."
Are you talking about that 23andMe article?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that up after we watch these videos because people need to get reacquainted with that too. But I'm gonna play this iguana one too. They sit there and tested their whole iguana. Now let's see the iguana DNA ancestry that say.
Since I had done this successfully in the past, I figured that I would try it with my iguana. With as much saliva that I could, I decided to send it to 23andMe to see what kind of results I'd get sent back.
You should have did an African ancestry test for the iguana, the dolphin, and the turtle.
Results. I just can't believe it actually worked. So I plugged the results into my computer, and as you can see, they tried to claim that my iguana, Henry, was Nigerian, Ghana, and Senegambian. But they also said that he had about 8% of European blood.
So the iguana is 71.9% West African.
But I'm going to keep trying.
You say what now? The iguana is what percentage of African?
71.9%. Right here, look.
So iguanas come from Africa? Man, they need to get the fuck up out of here with that shit. I told you that shit is an out of Africa theory methodology.
I'm sorry. It's 71.9% West African, but it's Sub-Saharan African 90% though. So the iguana is 90% Sub-Saharan.
90% Bantu. Oh shit. This how retarded. This goes to show that the Pan African is the most retarded person in the room. Like, come on now. Only paper genealogy tells you what your ancestor was. You can't go off of blind faith of a DNA kit in a victimization Olympics fairy tale of them snatching up millions of Africans out the continent. That don't make no fucking sense.
Yeah. Well, let's play the rest of it though. We got 10 more seconds.
They also said
Damn, that iguana African.
what's going on here, but I'm going to keep trying this with my other hands.
Yeah, so the iguana was what? 7.8 European. Yeah, so y'all, and then here goes the lizard though.
Bantu iguanas.
Sub-Saharan.
Damn, so Bantus are now iguanas now.
So let's look at the lizard though.
Iguanas migrated out of Africa and landed in the Americas.
Sent my pet lizard DNA to 23andMe. So with the help of my wife, we extracted enough.
So shouldn't you find an African equivalent of an iguana?
The results. After about 3 months, we were shocked. My lizard was 51% Ashkenazi Jewish. He was also 48% West Asian. This was really interesting. They also gave us a little bit of his background and his history, what he liked to eat, etc. Let us know which animal's DNA we should send in next.
So the lizard was European.
West Asia. My lizard
The lizard Caucasian now.
He was also 48% West Asian.
You see how feeble these Pan-Africans' argument is.
Background in his history.
No, but you gotta check the DNA that you African. Okay. Where you get this shit from, Yona? Where you get it?
TikTok. It was on TikTok.
You should send it to her on her Twitter and show her how dumb her stupid ass is.
427 said the iguana was taken on a slave ship. Oh my god, I need water.
Yo, wait till young Noble get a hold of this shit.
Oh my god. I think it work though. Child, this is just too much.
Yo, you should send young Noble that African iguana video.
Someone said the iguana deserved reparation. Smith, oh my god, y'all are too funny. I got me cracking up over here.
So the iguana was raped by a white man, but he was formerly a Bantu. Come on now.
Oh my god, but we cannot forget about this either. I don't know if y'all remember when I showed y'all this, but it was these white people that was going around in Canada trying to claim tribal sovereignty by they used a falsified DNA ancestry test company to have legitimate claims to be Native American, and they used these DNA ancestry tests to get the card that you see on the screen here. And so someone sent in their dog DNA to the DNA ancestry test company, and it wound up getting this whole tribe and even the DNA company itself being exposed. So actually, I did a video about that a while back, but yes, so it says when Lewis became suspicious of a Toronto-based laboratory that tests people's DNA to determine their ancestry, he decided to try an experiment by submitting a sample from his girlfriend's dog for analysis. Okay, and it says that according to the results, Lewis shares more than a friendship with Snoopy, the Chihuahua. They share the exact same indigenous ancestry. So yeah, so then Lewis found out that he says first became skeptical of the results produced by the DNA testing company Vanguard last summer while working with a group called the Confederation of Aboriginal People of Canada. So and these people are white people, by the way. They are pale people. So let me see if I can pull them up on here.
You ought to pull up Deborah Bolnick and Kim Tallbear as well.
Yeah, so this is what they look like. So this is related to the article, by the way. So that's who they got caught. This who got caught making them fake tax exempt cards for the tribe and stuff. And as you can tell, he's not native. This is a white man, and he's talking about he's an indigenous man.
That's a fucking joke.
Yeah, and the thing is, other white people were calling him out, and he got mad. And talking about I don't have to answer. I mean, should I pull up the interview? Yeah, because it said that this is the dog that they tested the DNA. Okay, this is the dog DNA they tested. It sent to Vanguard, and it said it had 20% indigenous ancestry. The same DNA that everybody gets.
Yeah.
And so this is supposedly a real indigenous tribal ID card, and this is the certificate that they give out. Not certificate, but the ID they give out. So obviously these people are getting caught up in fraudulent claims.
Yep.
So I want to see if I can probably play. I mean, I know I can play it, but I'm trying to see. Oh, what is that?
Well, no, sister, you're supposed to take the DNA test to find out what African ancestor you belong to.
Companies test for biothok DNA called bogus by genetics. See, they're getting caught up. These DNA ancestry tests are getting called out. Look at this. This is a whole European woman. Child, look at here.
How could you say that? You're
Look
that
what it says though. It says not enough biothok DNA available. So they don't even have nothing they can compare it to sit here and say that they are from that tribe. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't even show y'all the thing. How come y'all ain't tell me? I'm sorry. I'm over here thinking I'm showing y'all the tab. But yeah, this is the tab. It's okay. So this is the woman that's saying that she Beathok. She from the Beathok tribe. Okay. So it says
a whole Italian white woman. Get out of here.
Called bogus by geneticists. So, and then you scroll down and it says not enough Beathok DNA available. It says we do not have enough of our database to identify somebody as being Beathok. But yet you sending in your DNA to these companies though.
Yeah, them niggas was idiots. And plus, when it comes, and Negroes want reparations, right? When it comes to reparations, it's lineage based. So you have to prove that you were a Bantu slave via your paper genealogy, not a DNA kit.
Yeah, because DNA don't really tell you nothing.
It don't tell you what plantation you came off of. It don't tell you nothing about who your slave master was. It don't tell you nothing about no slave ship neither. It only gives you a less than 1% chance of out of Africa theory horoscope.
Here, look another one. Well, it's the same one from earlier, but it's this federal probe into the use of fake Indian status cards for tax breaks due at end of month. And this is the white man that I was talking about earlier. So I'm trying to, I want to find, and this is the difference between the card that they giving out for taxes and the real ID card that I guess the government, a federal government issue Indian status card on the left. And this is the card that the fake tribe give out on the right.
The Moorish.
I mean, hey, they in the same boat with the Moors at this point. So
yeah,
this oh my God, like the things I have on the Moors, it's crazy. It's so crazy. It is so crazy.
Islam Moors.
So I'm trying to find if I can pull up the video. Because I kind of want y'all to see the video for yourselves. Because I've been I showed it before, but I feel like I should show it again.
What? The African iguana?
No. This white man using this card to
Oh, I don't think you played that.
Well, I think I have. I have before.
Not on this particular video.
Put down my video though. Because I know it was on the CBC website itself. Video. Because it's on YouTube. I don't know about YouTube. Uh-oh, what's going on over there?
Was cooking. It's just a little bit of smoke that came
Don't be over there burning up your house.
I ain't burning up my house. I'm just cooking.
Okay. Okay. Well, I made this play. I made this play the audio so y'all can hear for yourselves. Yeah, I just play the audio because I don't want my video taken down. But this is what the video. I mean, the video is referring to though. They referring to this pale man.
In Montreal, a man is planning to break the law to make a point. He's invited us to watch as long as his identity is hidden. What he's buying doesn't matter. It's the savings he's trying to score at the cash that he wants us to see.
Right. You take mines in card?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay.
The cashier thinks she has just been handed what's known as an Indian status card, an official government document. She removes the taxes without catching on that it's not the real thing.
It was $8.20 without tax, but if you paid full price, it was $9.60, I think.
The savings are tiny, just $1.
I'm coming back. I forgot my money.
Perfect.
Okay, just put that on the side. Okay.
We walk before a transaction is completed, so no laws are broken.
Merchants don't know the laws, so they'll take anything that's, being presented to them.
These men are blowing the whistle on a group they used to belong to. They say the group's members are getting tax breaks they're not entitled to by using almost look-alike Indian status cards.
I know somebody that do some renovation.
I don't want to mention the name.
Yeah, saved over 35 grand in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what an
So yeah, so these pale people are over here using tax exempt Indian cards, so they don't get taxes. They don't get taxed, and it's this pale man that is in charge of it all.
Yeah.
So I'm a fast forward to his part because that mofo was so cocky when he was talking to that white woman. And
They do that to the Australian Aboriginals and Maori people. Same shit.
Yeah.
These cards are tax exemptions.
Because I'm not their father or mother.
Official. Why not tell your members, don't use these cards for tax exemptions?
Because I'm not their father or mother.
The government of Canada does not recognize this card as being legitimate for tax exemptions.
That's their opinion.
The way he sees it, the Constitution is on his side.
Article 15 says equality in front of the law. If you're allowed to do something, I should be allowed to do something too. The same thing. You can't discriminate against me, and you can't say that because I don't live on a reserve, I can't hunt, I can't fish, I have to pay taxes. It's not.
Bottom line for Carl, he insists his members should get the rights because they are indigenous. But are they?
You can have only 1%, and you are.
So you can join if you only have 1%.
Okay.
Carl told us about 90% of his members pass a DNA test. And indeed, in that hidden camera meeting, there was a $250 test.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have people take the DNA test and they just come back non-native? Like, is that common or?
I never saw it so far because we just started.
Carl's DNA tests are done through a Canadian company called Vigard Acumetrics. And this company claims that through its testing kit, its results can not only help determine the percentage of native ancestry in your DNA, but that these results can also help you to receive a status card.
So already on some fraudulent stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not showing y'all the video because I don't want to get copyrighted. I don't know if it's copyright. But yeah, this is what they doing. This is still what I think what's still happening right now. So yeah, that's what they're doing. They are using these cards and they're using these fake DNA ancestry test companies to gain these cards as well. So, but yet they're not talking about that though. And the thing is, the people that use this DNA ancestry test company, they're giving them all the same results. All right, listen to this part, y'all. Listen to this part.
Doesn't recognize these sorts of also help you to receive a status card. The thing is, the government of Canada doesn't recognize these sorts of DNA results as an indicator of Indigenous status. We thought we'd try to see how accurate Vigard's results are nonetheless. 3 colleagues agreed to help and let us test to see if they have any Indigenous DNA.
I'd be shocked if that test discovers anything else but Russia.
He was born in Russia, the other 2 in India. And they're pretty sure the answer will be 0 Indigenous ancestry. We follow Vigard's instructions to the letter, then send off the samples. Within a few weeks, the results are back, and they're a surprise. Okay, so the results are in. This is yours. This is yours. Have a look. Oh.
Okay.
What have you got there?
I've got 20% Native American ancestry, 12% Abenaki, and 8% Mohawk.
I'm exactly the same.
Me too.
12 and 8.
Surprising, to say the least.
This is the sort of anomaly that needs an explanation.
Okay.
So we went to Simon Gravel in the Department of Human Genetics.
And look what he say too. Look, hear what he has to say about DNA and
Simon Gravel,
Native American as well. Hear what he got to say.
At McGill University. Is it possible to tell if someone has indigenous ancestry from the DNA?
It's absolutely possible. It's not the same as saying whether someone is or is not Native American, as a question of identity. But we can tell very well whether somebody has, for example, a lot of Native relatives.
What are the chances that...
Yeah, notice how he said relatives and how DNA ancestry tests can't prove it when it comes to identity, though.
You can't be stealing my native culture. My DNA is in the haplogroup says that I am haplogroup X, A, B, C, and D. I'm native. You're an Able. You're a Weeble. You're from Africa.
Oh my God. Let me replay this one more time of this man talking about native DNA.
This is the sort of anomaly that needs an explanation. Okay. So we went to Simon Gravel in the Department of Human Genetics at McGill University. Is it possible to tell if someone has indigenous ancestry from the DNA?
Yes, it's absolutely possible. It's not the same as saying whether someone is or is not Native American, as a question of identity.
It's not the same in question of identity, though. But they can say you have Native ancestry because of your proximity to how many Native relatives you have, though.
But you from Africa. Stop self-hating on your African self, sister. They just got done saying that you can't trace no ancestor ethnicity. So why you keep pressing us with that Africa shit? You can't do it. Why you keep on? It's like that Blade line. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. In that case, it's the Pan-African in the news.
To tell if someone has indigenous ancestry from the DNA.
Yes, it's absolutely possible. It's not the same as saying whether someone is or is not Native American, as a question of identity.
It's possible to tell if someone has indigenous ancestry from the DNA.
Yes, it's absolutely possible. It's not the same as saying whether someone is or is not Native American, as a question of identity. But we can tell very well whether somebody has, for example, a lot of Native relatives.
Yeah, they base it on your Native relatives, not
that are living
American identity itself.
Yeah. It'll be relatives that are living and close to directly tracing you to a direct living bloodline that's in their database. It's not like they go dig up abandoned slave graveyards and do biopsies on the bones of old slave graveyards and compare them to West African DNA because they don't have access to your great-grandparents' graves or your grandparents' graves or your parents' graves. They only have access to going to random tribes and villages in Africa and gathering samples of random spit in a tube and comparing you by using an out of Africa methodology.
Man.
Of 20% indigenous ancestry. It also says the test we bought was just for information. To be legally valid, it would have to be done by a trained healthcare professional, one who wears latex gloves and a mask.
So did you say you're trained to do it? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
So what, like...
Carl insists the tests done for the Confederation are legally valid, conducted only by trained testers. But just take a look at the DNA swab they did for our associate producer in that hidden camera footage. No gloves, even appears to touch the swab before putting it in her mouth. In any way, does this call into question the legitimacy in your mind of anyone in your membership?
No.
He is unyielding, but so are the voices from the Ganawaki Reserve, where frustration with Carl and his group is building.
They tell us that they have ancestry.
Hold on, I want to show y'all this right quick. I don't know if I may get copyrighted on this, but I want to show y'all who they talking about. Okay? Because look, because this is the tribe they talk to get like comment about this whole situation. Now look who they got on here though. Not him yet. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Okay. So do y'all see this picture on the screen right here?
That's a whole Negro.
Yeah. Now look who they talking to though.
They tell us that they have ancestry.
Now do he look like what's on the
Heck no. Like a white man from Russia, Ukraine, fucking Bulgaria, fucking gypsies. That's what his ass look like. He don't look like no Indian.
Yeah, he don't look like what they was have on that sign with the mohawk. That ain't no mohawk. That's not no mohawk. But yeah, let me continue to play this video though. It's almost done.
They've done the DNA test.
Shit, he don't even look mongoloid.
We are, like, sometimes it feels like a slap in the face.
And government officials told CBC they have advised Carl to stop distributing cards that resemble certificates of Indian status. He says he won't. Do you find it amazing that the government hasn't come after you in some way?
No, because they're not going to win.
Far from being contrite, young Carl seems primed for a fight. He has his members and his story, and so far, he has his way.
Child, let me show y'all this. Y'all heard that man trying to speak Indian? He over there sound like he over there talking like I don't even know what. Over there sound like Italian or whatever. He look Italian. Look at him. Look at these white people.
They look out of place. They look like they wearing costumes. They don't look authentic. This is a joke. You literally got people out of Lance Brown Eyes camp looking like that, saying that we culture vulture.
Yeah, they never attack white people like this though.
Nope.
So let's go look at the 23andMe blog about the DNA ancestry test. Because even them are saying they can't prove DNA ancestry test. I mean, they can't prove Native American DNA. Now, some people be like, oh, well, you're just taking it out of context. That's not what they said.
And then they regurgitate go to the haplogroups. Go to the haplogroups. If you a Native American, you got to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X, Y, Z. Motherfucker. Albert Perry has haplogroup A.
This blog says to not do everything that the natives are claiming to do. Because the natives say, oh, take a DNA ancestry test and I'm Native and I'm this percent Native and you're not Native and blah, blah, blah. But yet it says it doesn't mean you should start identifying as Native American based on the results of a genetic ancestry test. It doesn't mean you can claim Native identity and then use genetic ancestry to confirm it. It doesn't mean you can go to Native American friends and say, hey, guess what? I took a DNA test and it turns out Native American too. But yet, ain't this the same thing?
The same thing for Africa. You claim you were African slave. You can't do that. You can't go up to like an African and say, hey, I took an African ancestry DNA kit and it says I'm from this tribe, the Wobi tribe, or the Kasine tribe, or the Fulani tribe, and that automatically entitles you to appropriate some shit over there and misappropriate like their resources and shit. That don't entitle you to doing that shit, because they gonna G-check you right then and there and tell you not a part of their ethnic group.
But yeah,
you gotta have a relative.
Ain't this what natives do to us though?
Yeah. The Africans turn around and do the same thing to these Pan-Africans.
Oh my god! But anyway,
why are you stealing my kocha, Akacha?
It says
you literally got a nigga by the name of Balasti, aka African Parasite, pointing out these Pan-Africans.
But hold on, Tyrone, hold on. It says you cannot use these results to seek or confirm membership in a tribe or nation. So it says what it does mean is that with some degree of statistical confidence, some sections of your DNA match a limited, emphasis on limited, set of indigenous American reference individuals more closely than they do other global reference populations. If information about a possible indigenous American ancestor is new to you, you can be excited, blah, blah, blah. But your test results should be viewed with caution in the context of the technology's limitations. So it's literally saying it can't prove that you're indigenous to America. That's literally what it's saying. Because you can't take it to a tribe and get enrolled. And you can't identify as native because of the test. You can't use the test to confirm your native ancestry. So it's like it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't.
Yep.
So these natives are so misleading. Look, it says DNA ethnicity or ancestry estimates are not considered in questions of membership. So why run around and say, "Oh, take a DNA ancestry test"? That's not going to prove anything. Just like what that Chiz girl earlier talking about, oh, DNA ancestry tests, and like, girl, you dumb.
Stop stealing from the natives. They don't need your help, nigga. Wake up, nigga. They don't need your help, nigga. Why you over here caping for them? That literally does not make any sense. I thought Pan-African's supposed to be on code. That ain't the code. You snitching on what we got going on because you mad because you can't get no bag out of promoting some slave ship fantasies no more. And talking about white supremacy this and white supremacy that. And woe is me, I got raped by a slave owner and I want reparations, but I really don't want reparations. I want Africa to give me some gold.
Yeah, so this goes back to what this girl was saying. DNA tests are very accurate and go back 10 generations. If we were the original Native Americans, we were able to prove it with DNA. Actually, we can't because they're trying to compare our DNA with mestizos, mixed white people. So how is that going to work? How is that going to work when you can't use a DNA ancestry test to join an indigenous American tribe? Make it test.
That should be on a t-shirt. Get on code, nigga. Yes.
It just don't make no sense.
It doesn't
make no sense. They don't make no sense. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of them, bro. You can't use, like, come on now. It literally says some sections of your DNA match a limited set of natives reference individuals more closely than they do other global reference populations. But that don't mean anything when these people are literally biracial and multiracial.
Yep. Hey, they won't even tell you if we supposed to be Bantu Africans, and they was greatly replacing Indians down the East Coast. So wouldn't a lot of them Mongol-style natives have West African ancestry, and even the mestizos in Latin American countries? Because Latin America had the bulk of West African slaves, allegedly. So we will find direct lineage to a Bantu ethnic group amongst these mestizos that saying, "Oh, I'm full blood native, orale! You Africans, y'all stealing my native culture, orale! Listen here, cabron, stop stealing my native culture." Yeah, them niggas right there, they should be finding a whole bunch of West African DNA within them. But you can't for some reason. But they want to put all this slave ship nonsense upon us when the United States barely received any Africans, and the bulk of them went to the Caribbean and Latin America. And we don't trace our lineage to slaves being imported from the Caribbean. So I don't know why they keep pushing that narrative upon us and saying like, oh, the Native Americans never interacted with Africans, but they was enslaving and help capturing Africans at the Strongbook Africans. Come on, hold up, some shit ain't making any fucking sense. So you telling me they was using Indian slave catchers to catch some Strongbook Africans, but they were useless in catching their own people as slaves? Make it make sense.
And look, this is the thing though, because people always want to say, "Oh, well, you gotta take a DNA test to prove you're indigenous." But there's a difference between paternity tests and DNA ancestry tests. And some indigenous nations do use DNA to a certain close familial relationships, i.e., paternity tests, genetic ancestry estimates, keyword estimates, like those conducted by 23andMe, are not used to determine enrollment. So it's like at the end of the day, people are just being disingenuous about this whole quote unquote Native American DNA. Because if they're saying that, how is it that people want us to use DNA ancestry just to prove our identity, but yet we can't use it to join a tribe or a nation? Make it make sense.
Yep.
Like her whole argument is flawed. Like this trans woman, her whole argument is flawed though.
Yeah, and she can't use that DNA kit to claim citizenship to an African country.
I heard they trying, but I mean,
that shit ain't gonna work because you can't figure out a tribe from some spit in a tube. And it just only makes you worse than a fifth class citizen. You just a refugee in somebody else's nation building up their economy and not yours.
Yeah. So again, they know what it is. And notice how too in this article they reference Kimberly Tallbear. And remember, I think I did that live with Noble when I talked about her, but she's actually biracial. Well, multiracial, because her father is white and her mom is supposedly native. And so she says, "Oh, I'm a white passing native," but she's just most likely a mixed white person, to be honest. No shade to her, because she do contribute a lot to this DNA ancestry test conversation. But I'm just saying, like, she come from the nutsack of a white man. I'm just saying that.
Yep.
So I don't know how you come from the nutsack of a white man and you indigenous, but nonetheless, it takes two Aboriginal people to make an Aboriginal baby. Like, I don't know why people are trying to substitute other races and biracials and multiracials to talk about, oh, well, you know, you could just procreate with a white man or a white woman or a biracial person, you get a black baby. Like, no, like, it's Aboriginal American together, and you get an Aboriginal American baby. Like, I don't know why people are trying to
whitewash, mulatto-sized, mestizo-sized, Indian phenotype. When the white man himself, who enslaved the Indians, said the full-blood native standard is a nigger. That's his own word. But then they flipped it around and saw that when they imported alleged Africans into the country, or when they was bringing in a whole bunch of black Europeans in, they decided to call everybody a slave and a black, and then change it over to classifying Indians once they established the Oklahoma reservations. They incorporated themselves with their Scottish heritage and changed up the rules and said that, oh, okay, since we set up this corporation called the Five Civilized Tribes of Friendly Indians, we're gonna make them honorary Aryan minority, model minority honorary whites.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that paradigm, Indian reservations classify their citizens as mulattoes. See what I mean?
Yeah, but I
just like how they did the Australian blackbird, and they took all the mulattoes and gave all the rights to the mulattoes, but kicked all the niggas out, and white people bred those mulattoes out in the half caste, and now you got a whole generation of white people today claiming to be Aboriginal and kicking the authentic dark-skinned people out of these Pacific islands.
Yeah.
And then you got the Native Americans, since the DNA shows that they are descendants of these Australoid races from the Pacific, they are pointing to the pale Mongol-style Polynesians instead of talking about what the Polynesians themselves saying, that their ancestors was Negroid like the Melanesians and Australian Aboriginals.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say nothing about them always being pale and straight hair when you go over these island nations. It's only pertains when you get to America, you got the pale groups talking about they original, but anywhere else like Asia, you see Negritos. You don't see the pale Filipino, Mongol style Filipinos talking about, oh, we more full-blood native than these Negritos. They are from Africa. White people imported them here from Africa and they were slaves. They don't say nothing like that. It's only when you get to here, they do a flip and try and claim that pale groups are Aboriginal all of a sudden. And these Pan-Africans compromise their whole out of Africa theory to that dumb Neanderthal theory, talking about Neanderthal diaspora, except Africa. Even though Neanderthals come from Africa.
Yeah,
and
but
then on top of that,
article right quick, not to cut you
on
off.
top of that, how can you say nappy hair evolved in Africa when you find animals with hair textures closest to nappy hair, such as the American bison, the llama, alpaca, or you even got penguins with afros. Oh, and you got the lamb, the sheep.
Hold on, because I want to get to this article right quick, because I forgot I wanted to play that video of her with that that historian is said, but whatever his Issa, we're gonna call him Issa. How you ever say his name? We're gonna talk about him later, but I want to get to this article, then we're gonna look at some pictures, and then we're gonna get to the video, because we're gonna be all here all day talking about these people.
Yeah, and I can't do that because I gotta go to bed soon.
Yeah, so I came across this article years back, and it's
matter of fact, Yona, I'm gonna have to continue this another night because I gotta get up early in the morning.
Alrighty.
All right, peace.
All right, night. So I wanted to talk about this article called "The Science and Business of Genetic Ancestry Testing." And look at how many scientists have backed this up. And look at the name, Kimberly Tallbear, coming up again. Like Kimberly is on it. And that's when I first came. That's when I first came across Kimberly. Because I'm like, okay, like she ain't playing with these people, okay? So I want to point out a point in this article where it says that others are searching for a connection Pacific groups or places in Eurasia and Africa. This search for a homeland is particularly poignant for many African Americans who hope to recapture a history stolen by slavery. Others seek a more nuanced picture of their genetic backgrounds than the black and white dichotomy that dominates U.S. racial thinking. Okay. So it says test takers may reshape their personal identities and they may suffer emotional distress if test results are unexpected or undesired. Test takers may also change how they report their race and ethnicity on governmental forms, college and job applications, and medical questionnaires. Okay. So, and it talks about how it affects the quote unquote African American community. Tests have led African Americans to visit and financially support Pacific African communities. Other Americans have taken the test in hopes of obtaining Native American tribal affiliation and benefits like financial support, housing, education, healthcare, and affirmation of identity, or to challenge tribal membership decisions. So it's already talking about how this is affecting quote unquote African American people. And I like how it actually called out how these tests lead quote unquote Black Americans to visit and financially support African communities, because that's what DNA ancestry tests do. Because a lot of our people think that, oh, well, you know, I'm African, and since I don't know who I am, I take an African DNA ancestry test and blah blah blah. But yet it's saying that these things have limitations. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it goes on to say in the first paragraph, it says, however, both scientists and consumers should approach genetic ancestry testing with caution because the test can have a profound impact on individuals and communities. The assumptions and limitations of these tests make them less informative than many realize. And commercialization has led to misleading practices that reinforce misconceptions. So again, they sit over here and telling you like, hey, this stuff has limitations, take it with a grain of salt. And what do quote unquote Black people do? They run to the hills with it. Okay, so I really want y'all like to be very very careful, because also like another part, let me see. All right, well, like there's like what 3 pages of this article. And also in this article, it talks about how a DNA ancestry test doesn't prove your origins. So definitely check out this article if y'all can, y'all guys. But I want to show some pictures, because for people to sit here and say, oh, Black people weren't in America, it's like this is a whole dark skinned person, you know. And I don't like to use the term Black because the term Black has so many different definitions. It's like, oh my God. And it's crazy because people will sometimes refer Black to a skin color, but when we sit here and talk about our ancestry as indigenous people, then they're like, oh, well, the indigenous people ain't Black. And then they want to say, oh, well, Black means African, when any other time they say Black pertaining to a dark skin tone. So there are plenty of images that show you melanated Aboriginal Americans. For example, this is a Choctaw woman. This is Choctaw. She's Choctaw, okay? And let's see. And I bet y'all know somebody that looked like this. I bet y'all know someone that looked like this. I bet y'all have an uncle, a brother, a father-in-law that look like this man right here. But yet they always try to compare these images to the mestizos, though. And sure, there are some mestizos with these features, but yet, who do the mestizos come from? Think about that. Okay, and look at this. It says free natives of Dominica. This is what the free natives of Dominica look like, though. Look at that. But they never show us these images in school, though. So for people to sit here and say that we ain't indigenous, we ain't never been here, they're being disingenuous. Man and woman of Mexico. Because see, the natives always want to sit here and talk about, oh, well, the Mexicans are indigenous, but yeah, they never want to talk about these type of Mexicans, though. They so dark you can barely even see their features in this painting right here. So there's many different images of our people, and I think it's just crazy how people try to say that, oh well, it's just no archaeological evidence, but yeah, this is a whole artifact, and you can sit here and tell that this man has quote unquote nappy hair. Look at his hair. Look at how his hair is depicted on the stone right here. Look at his features. How is this not archaeological evidence of us being here? I'm not trying to prove a point, but obviously the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Look at that. Look at us. Look at his hair. There was one say, "Oh well, we're the photos of y'all with the hair tone, with the hair texture." Okay, here it is, right there. I want to show this one, but she don't got no top on, so I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to get my thing taken down. But I think this is an Aztec painting right here. And see, like in the main thing I hear natives say is that, oh well, they painted their skin black. But I'm like, bull crap, bro. Bull crap. Bull crap. Because they are literally dark head to toe. Look, this is another image. I don't know if I came across this image, but this is when the indigenous people were meeting, I think, Christopher Columbus. Yeah, but look at our people though. Look at the hair textures. And it's not just one, it's many. So yeah, so I just and we can't forget this man.
Auditorium like 75,000 people or something, and she announced that she just had the test and that she was Zulu. So it broke on CNN. I was sitting in my living room minding my own business. It said, Oprah Winfrey's a Zulu. So I called Rick Kittles, and I said, Rick, did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu? He goes, no, man, she made that up herself. It's a true story. It's a true story. I would lie to make you laugh, but I'm telling you a true story. So I said, Rick, are you in your lab? He said, yeah. I said, is anybody there? He said, no. I said, when the results come in, make her Zulu, man. I said, you back there making it up anyway. Nobody believe you can take some spit and figure out how to try it? What, are you crazy? She was in a...
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. These Pan-Africanists can get mad all they want to. But it is what it is. There have been on several occasions where they called our people Negroes as well. Okay. Example of Indians being referred to as Negro. Look at that. from the Macon, Georgia Telegraph, October 22. It is a travesty upon civilization that the United States have tortured into ruin the fine race that inherited the soil and has adopted a horde of African savages to educate, ride within the cars, sit within the theaters, and eat with white folks at the hotels. The Indians who falls to be born a Negro hereafter makes the mistake of his life. New York Times, published October 28th, 1886. So, I mean, the historical references are there. The proof is in the pudding. People get mad if they want to, but this is what it is. So I wanted to play this video of this Ches woman talking about Dane Calloway and with this Issa man, but I don't know. I'm drained. Because the man that she has on here, I'm gonna show y'all him. This is the Issa man. Now I don't know about y'all, but he kind of do look African to me. He kind of look African to me. I don't know about y'all, but he do look a little African to me. But mostly this man was rambling on and on and on about this thing, because she asked him, she was like, let me go back down. Because the man claims that he's from from Louisiana. And she asked him a question, and she said, are where the majority of Black people are already here. So you know what? Let's play it. Let's play the audio. I'm gonna put it on something else because I don't want to play her audio and then she try to get me copyrighted, because you know they be slick.
To the first question, were the majority of Black people in America already here?
Well, it depends on how you define Black people. Even the concept of race.
Child, I already knew when he said that. I was like, look, he gonna tap dance around this question, because eventually he said yes, but he's tap dancing around it.
Because we know it didn't exist in the 16th century. There's a book that I want to bring to everybody's attention that I use in my African American history class. I am a university professor. I do teach in the CUNY, the City University of New York system, although none of my views or comments today represent my job or my university where I am employed. But in my United States history and African American history class, I always deal with this one book. It's called The Invention of the White Race. The Invention of the White Race by Theodore Allen, right? And in this book, he traces the origins of race, the origins, the concept of race. And if we were to go back to colonial America, when we say colonial America, we're talking about 1619, particularly as it regards to the British. When we talk about 1619, that's when the British were able to set up a permanent settlement on Plymouth Rock, as we all know that narrative. A lot of us know that narrative. But all the way up until the 18th century, there was no concept of race. If you were to go to colonial Virginia or Maryland or New York in 1720 and say, hey, Mr. White Man or Mr. Black Man, everybody would look at you crazy, because they'll be like, well, where's the white person? I'm a Dutch. I'm an Englishman. I'm a Frenchman. There was no concept of Black and white as we know it. That is an invention, and it's very much a British and American invention, and they perfected that invention over time. So when you say if Black people were If you're referring to the group of people who came over, the indigenous people who came over 50,000 years ago, yes. I don't know if some of us remember about 3 years ago, there's a group of people out on the Indian Ocean. They're very dark and melanated, and they have this funny diplomacy. You come near them, you're going to get about 400 poison darts aimed at you. And there was this one American missionary. He said he wanted to go over and civilize them, and he went over with a Bible, and they killed him. But this group of people left Africa more than 130,000 years ago, and they still look like they're from East Africa, but their DNA is not solely the same as somebody from East Africa. So when we say black people, yes, they were melanated people. We know about the Kingdom of Hawaii. We know about the Peloponnesian Islands, right? But we also know, through some evidence that there's a great possibility that West Africans may have come to the North American continent. But none of that discounts the fact of how people like myself, got to the United States. And so, yes, there were black people here, melanated, but would they have considered themselves black in a way that we understand it? Absolutely not.
So he's trying to sit here and say that, yeah, black people being here, but they're from a different country or continent. Like, come on, bro. Come on. You there. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home. Okay? Like, you getting it, but you're not getting it. Okay? Like, he's still clinging on Africa. Now, I do get what he's saying. Like, the concept of white and black is new. And, like, we had our own names. We had our own identity that we had before Europeans forced it onto us. But I don't... He said they would have to cut his mic off. I'm surprised she didn't cut off his mic, because you can see in her face like she just kind of like not feeling it. She's not feeling what he's saying. And this is the same girl that was on the Twitter talking about how, we all African and so on and so forth. So this is this scholar guy telling her about so-called black people being in America before Christopher Columbus. So, but the thing is, we didn't get here by the way of West Africans. We didn't get here by the way of anybody else. We already been here. Well, I'm not showing it to y'all because I don't want her to copyright my channel. Because I don't know, like, someone could send this video to that girl. She like, copyright. So they ain't gonna get my channel, okay? But I will let y'all hear this audio though, because we gonna hear this today. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know about this girl. But let me go back, because I didn't mean to take off my screen. So I'm gonna continue playing some of the video, and then I'm gonna conclude it and get off of here, because I don't want to be on here for a long time.
And a lot of them were wiped out. I hear a lot of these.
What? Did he just say a lot of us were wiped out? No, he did not just say that. Let me go back, because I just what?
Affected that invention over time. So when you say if black people were here, if you're referring to the group of people who came over, the indigenous people who came over 50,000 years ago, yes. I don't know if some of us remember about 3 years ago, there's a group of people out on the Indian Ocean. They're very dark.
Okay, hold on. I didn't went too far back. Hold on.
Civilize them, and he went over with a Bible, and they
Still went too far.
West Africans may have come to the North American continent, but none of that discounts the fact of how people like myself, got to the United States. And so, yes, there were Black people here, melanated, but would they have considered themselves Black in a way that we understand it? Absolutely not. And a lot of them were wiped out. I hear a lot of these layman historians making all of these claims about, reverse slave trade, and there was no slave trade.
We have not been wiped out. We are still here. We are still here. What are you talking about? Dude just said, oh, well, Black people been here, but they've been wiped out. Child.
And all this stuff baffles me, because I also see that a lot of these people who are saying that they're Aboriginal, all of a sudden, since California said they're going to give out some money, they've dropped that. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with that. They're going back and forth.
No, honey, that's y'all. That's y'all Pan-Africanists doing that. Okay, that's them FBAs doing that. That's them pro-Blacks doing that. That's them African immigrants doing that. Us who already know our ancestry, have done our genealogy, we know where we stand. Now, we know that there are Aboriginals who are owed reparations. There are Aboriginals who family members, ancestors who already got reparations. And then we have Aboriginals who ancestors were slave owners. Like, come on now. Yeah, exactly. So these white people only wiped out indigenous people of America, no other continent. Yes, supposedly the white people wiped out the melanated indigenous people, not the Chinese mixed Eurasian natives, not them, but just us. That's crazy. I can't believe what I'm hearing. But then again, I can. But then again, I can. And that's the thing, though. Like, no one's not saying that the slave trade didn't happen at all. It just ain't happened how people taught us it. It was more of us being transported out of America than Africans ever coming into America during the slave trade. And that's facts.
Which I think is really the nature of why we're having this particular show today. And so, yes and no to that answer.
Yes. Okay. So yes, there were dark-skinned, melanated people here beforehand, and also yes, there are obviously dark-skinned, melanated people that were forced to come here against their own will. Is essentially what.
Yes. So that's the issue. And what's going on now, and I really believe that the real issue of this misinformation may really be designed to prevent a significant number of people from getting any type of compensation for the illegal slave trade. So let's say if you say that your ancestor is Cherokee, right? If your ancestors are Cherokee, then your people signed various treaties with the British and with the Americans. The British held the North American territory up until 1776. That's when the Americans proclaimed their independence, and they ended up actually getting their independence a decade later, a little over a decade later, in the 1780s. And then, so you're talking about two different sets of governments, right? And so this is where people get confused. So when we start talking about places like California and reparations, which I know you're going to get into, if you say that you're Cherokee, then this has nothing to do with you. You understand? Because your treaty was with the Americans or with the British, or that treaty carried over from the British to the Americans, and you have sovereign land that they recognize. So this has nothing to do with you. So you got to make some decisions, and I hope and pray that people are not putting their names on forms and saying, hey, I'm this and I'm that, because if you do, or if you have, you can forget it. Reparations will come, and it's not going to come. It's not going to come like the way you think, or why you think it may or may not happen. It's going to come because, as my dear friend Dr. Salim Fariji told me about 4 years ago, he basically said, look, they've had, billionaires have had several meetings over the last couple of years on how they're going to save capitalism. And we see this ongoing war with Russia, this socialist communist.
Oh, okay. We got to stop talking about that because I'm not trying to get my thing demonetized. They said we can't talk about the W, so so we gonna skip past that.
Aboriginal nations, they were a part of what called the 5 civilized tribes, and they collaborated with Europeans in buying Africans, and they even served as scouts to catch runaway Africans, right? And that some people call Maroons, right? But but they were, and like the Cherokees were some of the biggest slave owners in the United States. So a lot of people don't even.
And yeah, who we know were the Cherokee that they talking about though? Because we know they're talking about them Eurasians or the John Rosses, aka the pale ones, the mixed white people. So we already know there's a lot of Aboriginal people who are quote unquote Cherokee by blood. But that's my thing. Like, they never want to sit here and talk about the people who were doing this. That's my issue. They always want to be like, oh, well, the Cherokee owned black people. They were white people. Those were white people. That were not the original people of our tribe. Those were mixed white people.
Even know that when they say they're Cherokee, they don't know that they were owned by the Cherokees. They weren't necessary.
And I mean, the thing is, everybody want to sit here and put it back to slavery. Not everything is about slavery. And like I have said before, a lot of Aboriginal people claim Cherokee because Cherokee Nation was absorbing a lot of other tribes when it came to historical reference or dealing with some type of reparations. Because I know for a fact, Lumbee Nation, the Lumbee tribe, was getting called Cherokee. And of course, Lumbee ain't Cherokee. But that just goes to show you that other tribes were being called Cherokee by the government officials when it's inaccurate. So, yeah, not everybody that claims to be Cherokee is a Cherokee. They could actually be from Lumbee Nation or from another tribe or whatever. But people are just not giving context to what they're saying. You just saying, oh, well, they just own black folks, so that's it. Like, no, like, there can be many different reasons why people are claiming Cherokee, our people at that. And it could be due to misclassification, paper genocide, certain tribes being absorbed into Cherokee Nation. Like, it could be a multitude of things. And people are not taking this into consideration. And that's why you have to look at genealogy by a case-by-case basis. Like, the thing is, we can no longer sit here and say that everyone is the same, everyone has the same historical background, because we don't. Okay, I can guarantee you the people in the chat probably have a whole different come from different tribes than I do, of course. So we have to do our genealogy to know what we're talking about.
in the sense that they lived on Cherokee territory, but they were slaves. And now their form of slavery may have been a little different from that of the Europeans, just a little, right? We don't hear people talking about that,
and also let's also talk about the benevolent slavery as well, because they always want to sit here and say, oh, well, you know, the natives owned slaves, but yet people forget that Aboriginals, there are a lot, still are people being enrolled in, you know, these tribes. And not only that, but they were buying their family members' freedom. Just how they want to talk about how when African Americans buy their family members' freedom, it's no different with the Aboriginals. It's called benevolent slavery, where they buy their parents, sibling, cousin, uncle, somebody up out of slavery, and they free them. That happened a lot in Indian country too. And I'm not referring to the natives, so don't sit here and say the native. I'm talking about our own people. I'm talking about Aboriginals.
Quite recently, the Cherokee Nation kicked a lot of them out. And a lot of them still to this day don't know why they were kicked out, because they don't know that they were never Cherokee. They were slaves.
That's not entirely true. There are plenty of freedmen with indigenous DNA, with indigenous blood ties to the tribe. That is untrue. And actually, you will actually see Cherokee Nation. Hold on, Cherokee freedmen. Let me pull it up, because they actually even talk about having indigenous blood too. Yeah, they said Indian by blood we shed. Yeah, hold on, let me share this tab right here. So yeah, so I mean, look, even they coming out talking about Indian by blood. So how dare he sit here and say that, they don't have indigenous blood and they don't have any ties. Like, you are a lie. You a whole lie. And Cherokee freedmen know that they have indigenous blood. And like the article from Berkeley, how they talked about, they said with freedmen's, a lot of freedmen's do have indigenous blood, but because of them being enslaved, they lack proof of it. And a lot of times, there were Aboriginals, even full-blood Aboriginals, being categorized as freedmen for the simple fact because they had a quote-unquote Negro phenotype, or they had ties to the quote-unquote Negroes. They was in close proximity to the Negroes. And we can't sit here and forget that our tribes, especially the 5 civilized tribes, were being infiltrated by white people, by the pale ones. And let's not forget that these quote-unquote native women were strategically dating and intermarrying with white men in the tribe to get a higher social status in the tribe. Like, come on now. Like,
under the Cherokees, right? And there's not a secret. There's a lot of research and books on indigenous nations that owned Africans that collaborated with Europeans. And some of them even bought Africans right off the slave ship, right off the slave bomb blocks. And the Cherokees were big on that. They did it bigger than almost anyone. And then later, the European under Jacksonian, Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson, kicked them off that land and moved them west to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know, these are people that were helping them, and they broke treaty after treaty, and then took the land and moved them west. And then took the land again. But when they went west, they took a lot of Africans with them.
Yeah, you know.
So you don't hear people talking about that aspect. My family was caught up in that. You know, on my mother's side, our DNA, our DNA goes back to the Aku people, the Baku people of the Central African Republic, otherwise known as the Congo. That group of people is over 200,000 years old. And my family, on the census, according to one of my elder cousins, I have yet to see this census report. I'm waiting, where they say that that we were Chippewa, right? And I'm like, no, there's no way, because I got the DNA. They're like, no,
My
we
God,
Native
bro.
American.
Here he go with that
no,
DNA.
They owned us.
And what did we just say about DNA ancestry tests? How they don't prove your ancestry? They don't prove your origins. Like, bro, like we literally just looked at the 23andMe article. like come on now. Come on now.
They owned us.
So you're saying, because I know that I talked to my nana about this actually a few days ago, and she was saying like, yeah, on my side there's Cherokee and Navajo, but she always identified as an African American, although she was like, yeah, we have ancestors who are this or that. She always saw it as like, we have this mixture, but I guess our primary lineage eventually comes from that. Although I know my family's from Texas, all that kind of different stuff, but literally just had this conversation.
Well, both of those groups you just named were part of the 5 civilized tribes, and because of that, they were allowed. Yes, they were allowed. I believe the Navajo, but for sure the Cherokee. They were allowed to buy and purchase and sell in Africans.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And most definitely.
Hold on, I have to show that that DNA. Hold on. I gotta show them the 60 minutes clip right quick. Cause he over here talking about he got a DNA ancestry test to prove that he ain't indigenous and he African. We gotta. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me turn this down. Let me share this tab with y'all.
Came from. When I handed Vi the certificate, she got extremely emotional about it. She wept, and it meant so very much.
People want to believe.
They want to believe they've gotten an answer.
And it's not fair of us to let them believe that we're giving them certain answers, because scientifically, we just can't.
Hank Greeley is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
What about your own company?
We have
he didn't exclude you. He included you.
But we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns.
About yourself.
Our DNA.
And that's the rub. This business of genetic genealogy is fraught with limitations. For one thing, it can only provide information about a tiny fraction of our ancestry. Because we get half our DNA from our mothers and half from our fathers, almost all of our DNA gets shuffled and remixed every generation, making it impossible to trace what comes from whom. There are just 2 bits of DNA that remain pure. The Y chromosome, which passes directly from father to son, and something called mitochondrial DNA, which passes unchanged from mother to child. Hank Greeley, a law professor at Stanford University, has studied this new field. He worries that people don't realize just how many ancestors they actually have.
8 generations ago, both you and I had 256 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents.
Wait, you're saying that if you go back 8 generations, we have 256 great-great-great-grandparents?
Yes, it doubles every generation. So you've got 2 parents, you have 4 grandparents, you have 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, and it adds up fast. It adds up so fast, in fact,
But if you go back 20 generations, you've got over 1 million grandparents.
1,048,576 to be exact. And in each generation, DNA testing can provide information about only 2 of them.
So you could be Peruvian on your mother's 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 side, Japanese on your father's 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 side, Swedish on everything else.
And you'll never know.
And you'll never know the Swedish from the Y chromosome or the mitochondrial DNA.
Now, you've looked at several of these companies that are doing these tests.
Yes.
Do you think that they explain what you just explained to us?
No, I don't think any of them does as good a job of pointing out the limitations. But, you know, businesses often don't go around telling you how weak their product is.
We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
It's less than 0.1%.
that's pretty teeny.
Yeah, but for people who know nothing about any of them, I think it's very important.
And what this man say?
They took a lot of Africans with them.
Yeah,
you know, so you don't hear people talking about that aspect. And my family was caught up in that. You know, on my mother's side, our DNA, our DNA goes back to the Aku people, the Baku people of the Central African Republic, otherwise known as the Congo. That group of people is over 200,000 years old. And my family, but on the census, according to one of my elder cousins, I have yet to see this census report. I'm waiting, where they say that that we were Chippewa, right? And I'm like, no, there's no way, because I got the DNA. They were like, no.
So he's ignoring genealogical evidence, even though he claims he haven't got it, for a DNA ancestry test. When we just heard that DNA ancestry tests are effective when it comes to researching your DNA. And they say we in denial, but okay.
I did Ancestry on both sides, my mom and my dad, that you could trace back to, I could trace Ancestry back to Africa, right? But
and what's interesting about yours was we have an actual official document.
Yeah.
I have the document. I had to look at and observe this document. For those who don't know, for the record, I worked for 4 years for the National Archives and Records Administration. Right, I worked as an archivist while I worked on my PhD, and I was able to write help to write a very important book, which I got credit for. You can find it online. It's called Founding African Americans in the National Archives and Records Administration. And the National Archives and Records Administration is probably the largest repository of Black history in the United States. These are our government records from various government agencies that goes back several, at least to the origins of the United States. And so I worked at the National Archives. I examined records for the United States. I put record groups together for the National Archives and the records. And while
I put records together for the National Archives. Listen to me, y'all. I got the information. I know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't know nothing. My day and night 200,000 years old. Y'all.
I was a PhD student at Howard. So when I hear so-called experts bringing up documents, you know, and I'm like...
That you actually physically handled and worked with at the National Archives.
And let me tell you what else I did. Did something right as they got their money. I was the one that worked on the Japanese records, reparations records. And
oh my goodness, now he messing up the Japanese people, what they got going on. Yo, oh my God, bro. You gonna print him a document? Oh my God, I need water. I'm Yeah, exactly. Pale people, they do lie a lot when it comes to ancestors. They do lie a lot.
Tell you some serious stories and letters that I read that were sent to the federal government about their $5,000 reparations checks. Some serious information. I assessed that record group. I worked on that record group while I was working at Archives 2 in Maryland. I worked at Archives 1 in Washington, D.C., and was later transferred to Archives 2. But I did a lot of research on both archives. The one in Washington, D.C.
I'm gonna fast forward because he just over here talking about what he did and what he got going on. Like, child, ain't nobody.
Events. And when the British came into what is now known as North America, they came in and they decimated the last of the indigenous nations there. And once they killed off that lady.
Hold on, let me back up a little bit. All right.
Events. And when the British came into what is now known as North America, they came in and they decimated the last of the indigenous nations there. And
no. Like, we're literally still here. Like, what are you talking about? Mashpee, Wampanoag, Powhatan, Lenape. Like, these tribes still here. And guess what? You can still see. The thing is, what people fail to realize is that a lot of these tribes that had first contact with Europeans, when you go to their reservation or if you show up to their powwow, they're melanated. Why is that? Because that's who they came across. Now, some of them natives on the reservation, they don't want to be stepping on them pale people toes. Baby, I don't care. I step on all the toes. I step on the hoof. I step on the claw. I will step on them fish catchers. Okay? I do not care. Because remember, there's also a town called Pocahontas. Okay, look. It says Pocahontas Island, 70 acres in the middle of Appomattox. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that right. River. And it says one of the oldest black, quote unquote, black communities in the United States. Pocahontas became a town in 1752, a center of tobacco trade and later shipping and railroads. Now, if we're not the original people, why is it that our towns, our names, our cities, all those things named after indigenous tribes and people? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. This is obviously an act of paper genocide. Like, come on now. Like, we still here. We just under a whole different name, a different name that these colonizers put us as. But we still here. And there's still other melanated tribes that still exist. Stop Africanizing them. And then maybe you can recognize and see them as who they are. People who are original to America.
Once they killed off that labor supply, they brought in the African who had very little immunity. Not all of the indigenous people were killed off, but a significant number were. And they brought in tens of millions of Africans.
Pause. Because okay. Do y'all see what he looked like, though? This is what he looked like. That's what he looked like. This is the man that's talking all this mess. And there was not no tens and millions of Africans that came to the United States. Because let's go by the numbers. Let's go by the numbers. They said 12 million were on the ships, but yet only, 10 point something million survived? And yet only 388,000 so-called Africans went to mainland North America. And again, you got to divide that between Canada, the United States, and Mexico, and the Caribbean islands. So it's not going to be that many Africans to go around. So he's being very misleading with his information. And as a matter of fact, I know some people out here like, okay, well, if you got it, then prove it. Because I can prove it. Because my reference is Henry Louis Gates. Henry Louis Gates. My bad. I didn't mean to say Huey. But y'all, I've been kind of wanting to watch the Boondocks lately, though. I don't know about y'all, but I want to watch the Boondocks when I get done off here. Okay. So, there go Henry Louis Gates Jr. Now, he talks about 10.7 million survived, but yet only about 388,000 came directly to North America. That's not a lot. This is the source. And there are plenty of other sources to say it too. So the information is there. There should be no reason why people are regurgitating lies at this point. You have a whole computer in your hand. It's called a phone. Use it. Google ain't a reliable source, but baby, it's a search engine. It can show you the different sources out there. There's so many books. There's so many journals. There's so much everything out there. Well, yeah, it is suspect because on slavevoyages.org, they only have almost 92,000 records of the supposed African slaves coming over here. So y'all sit here saying, oh, it was millions that came over here, but oh, it was only 388,000 that came to North America. But out of 388,000, we only have documentation of almost 92,000. I mean, this is what they want us to believe. This is the narrative they're going off on. Yeah, I just don't, I don't know. It's just too many lies that are being taught about Aboriginal American people. People are constantly trying to intertwine European history, African history, everybody else's history into American Indian history, and I'm just so tired. I'm just tired. Okay, and the little Africans that did come over here, guess what population they were getting absorbed into? The quote unquote American Indians, into our tribes, into our nations. John, he said, where they use the bathroom on the ship? I don't know. They probably just peed in the ocean or something. I don't know. They don't never talk about how they released them bowels on the ship, but who knows? So, child, I'm done. I'm done. Okay. I'm done. I just can't, bro. I just can't. And I want to address this comment right quick because this is like the second person that has came up on my channel talking about how we created the English language. Now, I need proof of that. because lately I've been seeing y'all trying to put European history as our history, in which I'm gonna also be talking about my video tomorrow with the Moors, because let me tell you something. The Moors, I'm not gonna give it away, but I need proof of that. So I need y'all to hit my email showing me how we created the English language and we taught it to Europeans. Because I will agree that there are some English words that come from indigenous languages, but to sit here and just put it as, oh, we created the English language, I have to call bull on that. So if y'all can sit here and prove it to me and send that information to my email that is listed in the description, show it to me. Show it to me, because English comes from England. That's in the title itself, but I'm open to learning. So I need y'all to send that information to my inbox, because I've been seeing too many of y'all, not really too many of y'all, I only seen like 2 of y'all say it, but I need to see the documentation of that. I need to see more of that. I didn't see an African until I was out of high school. I was like, what, 19, 20 when I came across one. I was like, wow, like, you're real. You're what my history books talked about. Not trying to be funny, but I'm just saying, like, like that was like, but you know, over the years, more and more Africans have been coming over here though and contributing to the immigrant population. So yeah. Yeah, I'm tired of this man. I'm tired of looking at him. I'm tired of hearing his voice. I'm tired of him lying about Aboriginal American people. I'm tired of him lying about our history. I just can't. I just can't. Well, I'm not going on nobody's channel. I need to see the receipts myself. So if you don't have the receipts, then I don't know what to tell you. Because I'm not going on no channel. I need to see either a university type of receipt, a book receipt, some type of receipt talking about that. Because that's the thing too. That's the thing too. These channels come out with all this information and they're causing more confusion, just like with the Moors, because the Moors do the same thing. And I'm telling y'all right now, the Moors are leading y'all to the jailhouse. Okay, the Moors think they leading y'all to sovereignty, but they leading y'all straight to the prison. Okay, you ever heard of the school to prison pipeline, where there's a more to prison pipeline that they send in? The booty house, not the booty house. Not the booty house. Yeah, they're gonna be taking booty in now, so you can't be dropping no soap, or they're gonna be behind you like off of that Soldier Boy meme. Well, I didn't say he was a Moor, but I'm saying like these channels are like the Moors. They spread a lot of misinformation, and then they sit back and watch people argue amongst each other because they know they're out there saying whatever. But like I said, there are English words that are based off on indigenous words, so I'm not denying that. But to sit here and say that the whole English language comes from Aboriginal people, I call cap on that. Because there are plenty of Aboriginal people that have to be taught English. We spoke our own indigenous languages. We spoke our own indigenous language. So, because obviously when the European came over, we didn't speak the same language. Well, they say supposedly English comes from the Latin language. So, and I also hear the Moors say, oh, well, all languages derive from Latin. And I'm like, well, from my research, and this is just what I gathered, right? When it comes to Aboriginal American people, a lot of our people weren't writing things down. A lot of our people, we were oral history, like we say things orally. Okay. So when it came down to writing our languages and writing them down, and and actually putting it into like words, I can see how the language started being based off on I don't want to say Latin itself, but I can see how it could be derived from that. Because what I recall, especially with Choctaw tribe, is that the person that they say that created the Choctaw language, he based it off on like using like Greek letters and stuff. So I'm just like, okay. So no wonder why the Moors always trying to sit here and say that everybody language come from Latin. Because I can see how, certain letters that are being used from like the Greeks and stuff like that can be used like that. But the thing is, we have to look at the people that were creating the languages for years to come, because let me show y'all who they Choctaw language. What they be trying to say. Hopefully he pops up. It was another man. That's not who I wanted to see. Because it's another one. I see him. I think he was wearing like a turban or something. I'm trying to see if I can pull him up, because I've seen him before. And I've seen Choctaw Nation talk about him. And supposedly he's native. Is it something? I don't want to say that. I want to say it'd be raw. Yeah, okay. Is that him? Oh, no. Okay, that's Cherokee dude. Okay, yeah. So this is the guy that created the Cherokee language, supposedly. So just look at him though. Look at this man. Oh, my bad. I don't have it on the screen. My bad. But yeah, so I mean, just look at who created the language. Like, obviously, he would base the language off on Latin, because he looked like he from Latin. He looked like he from overseas. So it's no doubt in my mind about that. Let's see. And then, okay, yeah, it says the written Choctaw language is based upon the English version of the Roman alphabet and was developed in conjunction with the civilization program of the United States. So obviously, I can see why it would be based on Latin. You got a whole civilization program from the United States, program to westernize and forcibly assimilate indigenous people. Like, yeah, I can see why that would be based on Latin and the Romans and the Greeks. I can see why. I can see why the language is based off of this. But yeah, I can only think, like, what would it be like if we didn't have to base our languages off on what they wanted us to be? Like, if we didn't have to base it off on the Romans and the Greeks and the Latin, like, what did it look like for us? And someone said that Latin is America, Spanish is overseas. Let's look at the etymology of the word Latin, okay? Old English, Latin, and Latin, okay? From Latin, Latinus, okay? Literally belonging to Latinium, the region of Italy around Rome, a name of a certain origin. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm not from no Italy. Latin ain't no America. Latin is a foreign term. The region of Italy around Rome. We are not Romans. Well, at least I'm not. Latin word also is the source of Spanish and Italian Ladino. And Ladino refers to I want to say because I also heard Ladino being referred to them Africans or the mixed Africans. Child, they say they got a Ladino language, also called the Judeo-Spanish Jusimo Romance language spoken by the sporadic Jews. Child, living mostly in Israel. Are you kidding me? Like I don't know sometimes. I just don't know. Like you gotta learn what these words come from. Ladino language. The Jews living mostly in Israel, North Africa, Greece, Turkey. Now, what would that have to do with Aboriginal people? Child, this sound like the Moors would love. This is right up in the Moors and Israelites alley right here. Okay. This is right up their alley. This is right up their alley. Child, I just can't. I just can't. Oh my God. Child, look at here, look at here, look at here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go quiet. I'm just my God. Child. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so funny. It's funny. It's just funny. Like I just can't. Just can't. Yeah, but they say Ladino is a mixed person, though. Child. Oh. So here, I'm gonna share this with y'all. Dominicans Studies Institute, First Blacks in America. The Christianized blacks mentioned in the 16th century documents issued in Spain, La Española, and the rest of the Spanish Empire were known as Ladinos. And the term referred in general to the blacks who were familiar in general with the religion, cultures, and languages of Castile or Portugal. And of course, they're going to talk about the Africa, but also heard of African conquistadors being referred to Ladinos as well. So yeah, but Latin and Ladino and child. Says in reference to the Roman Catholic Church, used as definition for people whose languages descend from Latin. Oh, Latimer. Hold on. Ain't somebody last name Latimer? I think I came across somebody's name not that long ago with that name. But I think that's interesting though. The surname Latimer means interpreter, literally a speaker of Latin. Now, how many of y'all know somebody who's speaking of Latin though? Yeah, I've been coming across that, y'all. I don't know. This is the language of the ancient Romans. Child, we ain't no Romans, okay? My goodness, it's just all this is just like European stuff, and it's just like child, like. So yeah, but this is foreigner stuff. Like this ain't Aboriginal people stuff. It's a term that was put on Aboriginal land. Because remember, we gave ourselves our own names and we referred to our land in our indigenous languages in terms. And I want y'all guys to remember that because, you know, you said Nicki Minaj is Roman. Oh my God. I'm trying to be serious and y'all over here. No, but she do though. Don't she say she did have that song called Roman's Revenge. Yo. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Y'all, we did build structures that were better than Europeans. Yeah. Yeah, but like I was saying, y'all, when it comes to our identity, I really need for us to stay on code. Like, I understand that over time that these terms and languages may have intertwined with ours and so on and so forth, but I need folks to stay on code. Okay. We have our own indigenous names, we have our own indigenous languages, and we have our own indigenous creation stories. And I'd rather hear y'all talk about that than to talk about foreigner ideologies and say, oh, well, this is American, when we know that these are things that were forced onto our people. Because we know Haiti wasn't called Haiti. We know the Dominican Republic was not called the Dominican Republic. We know Mexico was not called Mexico. We know Colombia was not called Colombia. We had our own names for what we called our lands. And I want y'all guys to remember that. Because right now, especially what I see with a lot of YouTubers is they keep coming with all these foreign ideologies and say, oh, well, you know, we indigenous, but we Homo sapiens and the out of Africa theory, or, oh, well, you know, we Aboriginal people, but we Moors, or oh no, we Aboriginal people, but we Hebrew Israelites. It's like, stay on code, y'all. Stay on code. Okay? They mentally enslaved us, change everything. So we, yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can definitely see that. But I mean, it's no judgment on my part, because I've been there. Like I've been that person that just felt like everything I had to say was right. And if it wasn't about Africa, then other people are wrong and ignorant. But we have a chance to make things right now. We have a chance to learn more about our indigenous culture, our indigenous languages, and really stick to that. How can we sit here and claim to be indigenous if we don't want to partake in anything that revolves around indigenous culture, our indigenous culture at that? Because I think a lot of people just think it's a game, and it's not a game. Like, no, Uganda. We're not talking about zombies today, but what I'm saying is Aboriginal people need to learn how to stay on code. Aboriginal people need to learn how to really stick with what is their culture. You know, if you Chippewa, learn about Chippewa culture, learn about the Chippewa language, like stop partaking in foreign ideologies, you know. And it's cool that we could come across different information and know, like, okay, well, that's cool. It's cool to know that that comes from that, or oh yeah, you know, that's already been here. Oh, that's dope, you know. But we should not overindulge in it to the point where it's overshadowing us really revisiting and indulging in our culture. And I know that we already practice our culture, but there are plenty of other things that Aboriginal people right now can learn about their culture that they probably not practicing right now. There's a lot of things that we can indulge in, and yet because a lot of Aboriginal people are partaking in foreign ideologies, you know, they're not really thinking about that. Like when yeah, hit that like button. Like, why you in here? Like, hit that like button. It don't cost nothing to hit a like button, okay? It ain't cost nothing to subscribe either. Like, subscribe to my channel and hit the all notifications button in the I'm sorry, and I got a break for it, but yeah, hit the all notifications bell button to get notified when I go live, when I upload a new video too. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we can learn more about ourselves, you know. And I told people, like, you know, why always try to run around with the Plains Indian headdress? And see, some of y'all be getting mad when I say that, but it's true. Like, why always run to the Plains Indian headdress when you want to represent indigenous culture? Like, why not just wear turquoise jewelry, or wear a choker, or you know, wear your hair in a significant indigenous hairstyle? Like, there are so many things that you can do to show off your indigenous pride. It's just like, there should be no excuse why people are resorting to wearing a headdress, a Plains Indian headdress, to represent their set. You know, and yeah, I've seen the Caribbean people wear you know, Plains Indian headdress, and that's fine. You know, that's their culture. But at the same time, it's like, what about your culture though? What about the tribe that you come from though? What did they wear? What did they practice? I think folks should be more focused on that than all this foreign ideology that people try to push on us. Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I wear my knife and my locks. Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to overdo it, because we are already indigenous in nature. We're already practicing indigenous culture already. But there's more. Yeah. Yeah, right, John. Yeah, true. We can't claim an image. Yeah, it's more than just an image. Like, it's about being who you are, and really embracing that, you know, when it comes to the spirituality, when it comes to, you know, having connections with the ancestors, stuff like that. Like those things are very, very, very important. And I cannot stress that enough. Like we have to learn how to stop over indulging in all this different rhetoric that supposedly pertains to Aboriginal people. But we need to start looking at the source and see, okay, where does this tradition, you know, is this tradition in my family? Do we already practice it? How can we make it more I don't want to say cultural, but more organized in a way, you know, because there's a lot of Aboriginal people already practicing indigenous traditions, like I said, you know, and you know, we can really be going about it a different way. You know, there's plenty of things that we could be doing differently to really show that we are really proud of who we are and who we come from. You know, and I see that and I see what other people say, like, oh, well, you claiming native, you don't know the culture and blah blah blah. But we do know the culture, but it's like there's no point in just constantly arguing with people about who you are, where you come from. There's no point in indulging things that your tribe did not indulge in. Yeah. So again, it's very, very, very imperative, and it's very important that Aboriginal people just go back to the source. Like, go back to the source. I already know a lot of y'all think that y'all are at the source, but we can go way deeper. Folks can go way deeper than what they allow their mind to let them go. Okay. And with me, I'm gonna talk about spirituality for a second, because with me, for the longest I felt like I was to become a shaman, but with being a shaman, it's a lot that you have to deal with. And in the spiritual world, if you're not prepared or trained right, you can go crazy. You could go crazy, like you could go insane in the membrane if you're not mentally trained to where you need to be in order to be a shaman or a spiritual leader or medicine woman, whatever. So I constantly have to give myself breaks. I have to make sure that I'm cleansing my energy and I'm cutting my energy off to things that don't help my growth as a person, as an individual. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that Aboriginal people can do to connect on a deeper level. Okay. Like the overindulging and the foreign ideologies and trying to put foreigners' information as their own, like them days are over with. I'm not dealing with that. Okay, I'm not dealing with that. Because there's just so much information and so much spiritual truth, historical truth about our truth to sit here and take on colonizers' ideology when it comes to us. Because the colonizers are always going to sit here and put their histories as ours. You know, just like with the article I just showed y'all, if I can find it again. Yeah, here. It says the written Choctaw language is based upon the English version of the Roman alphabet and was developed in conjunction with the Civilization Program of the United States. Okay? A program to westernize and forcibly assimilate indigenous Americans into Anglo-American culture. So that Anglo-American culture, that would be Latin culture. Because them Anglos, them pale people come from Europe. There was no Latin America before 1492. All this was Aborigine land. You melanated people's land. The melanated people who are original to America land. And each tribe had their own name for calling the land that they lived on. And I feel like it's in our best interest and it's in our nature to honor that. We have to honor what our ancestors already put out there. So, yeah, they do. They do got multiple identities. Oh, I didn't even put it back on there. Like I said I was. Yeah, y'all see it now. Y'all, I don't know what be up with my screen sometimes. Like, I just be talking and then the screen ain't even showing. I'm like, wow. Okay. So, but yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. I meant to get off like about 25 minutes ago. But I just had to talk about that for a second because I feel like it's very imperative that since we know who we are, it's important for us to really connect to our culture. Okay? Like, enough of just saying, oh, I'm Aboriginal. Like, and start to really indulge in that. Indulge into your culture. Just don't talk about it, be about it. We practice our culture every day. And I mean, you know, like, of course, being Aboriginal is a majestic thing, right? It's a phenomenal thing. It's a beautiful thing. But us just being in our natural essence now, like, that's enough too. That's enough too. And you don't have to sit here and try to overcompensate for you not knowing X, Y, and Z. Like, there's no need to do that. There's no need to do that. So that's all I have to say for this video. Don't forget to check out my links down below. Check out my genealogy organizer below on Amazon. And if you get it, leave me a review on Amazon if you can, please. So yeah, thank y'all guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share this video. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell button on notifications to get notified when I go live and when I upload a new video. Thank y'all guys for watching. Until the next time, bye.